I'm gonna go. I guess I'll continue to go around here. So we have another sequence puzzle, and now that I've had a chance to explain my thoughts on that one, what the hell was that? All of a sudden, there's like characters in this game, and they're like, for whatever reason, it's of apparently like eminent importance that they read these quotations and they get it right because there's something very, very hefty behind it. And I thought it was just pretension, but apparently I'm wrong, and there is like an actual plot at play. So, given that, given that, I have no idea what that means right now. That's really, really odd. Okay. Still, let's think this through. It's a mirror puzzle. So this one needs to combine with this one to be like an L-shaped piece. And then this one is like that one. So if I just think of them as the same shapes, just arranged differently, it becomes a lot easier to think about it. Likewise, this is here, like that. So I have 6 tiles. I have 6 tiles to get these to overlap, and they have to be in a continuous shape. And I know that 4 of them are burnt just by the fact that these have to be covered. So how can I get these to touch and to form a continuous shape with 2 squares? And the only way I can do that is with this square and this square. So, without even thinking about it, I think that the solution is this. I'm wrong. Okay, now I need to think about it. Okay, so this did it with 6 squares. Or there are 2 extra squares by just like throwing a solution, abandoning all like actually thinking about it and just throwing a solution out there. Now, it's very difficult for me to figure out a way to do this because they bump into each other. I'm almost 100% certain that they need to they don't need to join with each other. I don't know why I thought that. Because this is the solution. I made that way more complicated. Okay. Yeah, they both just need to form L shapes and they just need to be mirrors. And so we have this. Is this a mirror? It's not a mirror. Okay, good. We have this shape up here, which almost certainly does not need to be covered by itself. We have and indeed, if we use this shape to cover itself, there's no way to group the 3 into it. And likewise, this singular dot obviously needs to be grouped with something. So, if we have this 3 right here, we have this this L. Okay, so the 3 covers that. I don't like that solution. The this right angle block covers these 3. Then we have we've got that at play. So we take this guy like that. And then... Okay, we don't do that. So we do use the 3 block. No. The 3 block has to be the thing that covers this. Unless there's a way to do this that I'm not thinking about. Which would be... Okay, 3 block is here. Then... The... Then the 1 square is there. And then we use that thing to capture it. And then this thing is... It has... If I do that, then this thing has to be contained in its own group. So that's not doable. So... If I rethink this, then... Something that I can consider is... If I do use the 3 block to grab this guy somehow, I would need to extend it off of here. So what that could mean then is this is the right angle. It goes right there. Then okay, that's the right. If the right angle goes there, and I use the big ol' L-shaped guy to grab here, I use the 1 block to grab that tile, and I use the 3 block to grab that, then that solves the puzzle. So let me go ahead and do that. And as you can see, that doesn't work because I blocked off the exit. I also need to change one little thing, which would be I would need to do this. So every thing is being captured here. The only problem is that I can't actually use this solution to solve the puzzle. So the alternative is to find, if I go the other direction on it, then the same problem arises. I'm not able to actually use it. Okay, well, that's not a problem. Either this is the solution and I just need to... Well, these are the 2 ways to draw it. And if I can't do it, I can't do it. So another solution needs to be proposed, wherein we use the L-shaped piece to grab this. We use the dot to put something there. No. Okay. We use the... So, any solution that requires the L-shaped piece to grab this cannot be done. And the reason for that is because these are across from each other. So any pattern that I do is necessarily going to have to start at one of the corners here. But I don't want to do it that way. So the alternative is I need to have a pattern that uses the either the dot to capture this piece or the 3 block down to capture this piece. So let's think about this. If I use the 3 piece to capture here, I use the 1 piece to capture there, and then this guy to capture that, then this piece is stranded, but because this corner is used in both, that solution doesn't work. So they have to be contained with each other. And the only two pieces that can capture this piece are either the single dot or the 3. So let's consider cases where and the only two pieces that can capture this one are either the 3, the dot, or the L-shaped piece. So let's go with the biggest constraints first. So the constraint is what can capture this guy. So if we use the 3 piece to do it, then we can do that. If we use the 1 piece to do it, then we can do 3 and 1. But then there's nothing to capture that guy. Unless if I use the 3 and the 1 to capture them, and then I use the 3. Okay, so I've used the 3 and the 1 to capture that. And then I need a way to use the L shape to capture that. And then the crook to capture that. I arrive at the exact same solution I just had. Except this time it works. And I don't know what I did differently in my mind to make this work. Was this not the exact same solution that I had earlier? I'm not entirely sure. But it looks like I was chopping off these blocks earlier, and that was making it not work. But the L shape is here. This piece is represented here. I use the single square to bridge, and then I use the 3 down to capture the rest of it. So I'm not entirely sure what changed there. It looks like, though, what they're going to do, which is actually kind of cool, is they're going to use the same pieces, but they're going to change where the position of the wall is to try and stump me. So let me think about this. If I use the 3 to capture that, I use the I just contain this guy with itself. I use this to capture. I use this piece to capture these 3. I use the L to capture itself, and I use the 1. I would have to use the 1 to either bridge either of these. So that's not going to fly. Okay. So now I use the... I can't use the 3 to capture this anymore. And that means that this either has to self-capture, which is possible. So if I self-capture it, then it's going to be weird if I attempt to self-capture this. Self-capture meaning something like that. If I use the dot to capture it, then I can have a shape that does something like this. But I think the dot needs to be used to bridge something together again. So if I use the 3 up here, and then I use the dot, and then I still need this guy to capture that, then what do I have? I have, that won't work. Okay. I use let's consider a different approach. I use the L-shaped block to capture that. I use this to capture that. I then use the 3 down like this and the dot to capture it. This was the solution I think I came up with the first time I was doing this, wasn't it? Which would be something like the following. No, not quite. So, let me retrace this in my head. So I use L-shaped block to capture. I then use this guy, like the big upper left corner guy, to capture. I then use the dot. Oh, I was using the L-shaped block to self-capture too. So this was the solution I had in my mind, but this solution doesn't work because I'm using the L-shaped crook piece twice. So what can I do? Well, we use this 3 here, and we use the dot to capture. And then what we get is the potential to have 2 disjoint sets, which would be something like that. So this does not capture. Never mind. Okay, this won't work. I use the dot to capture. What does that look like? In my mind, the this big ol' Chungus here is basically always going to be spanning this. I don't think there's a way to not do it that way, or I don't think there's a way around that. So the other thing I'm wondering is, I think a different traversal actually solves this. No. It would be cool if it did. So this is the same thing, but my traversal... I figured if I did the same pattern, but went around the puzzle differently, I would be able to solve it, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Okay. So let me think about this. We use the L-shaped piece here. We use the dot to capture. Use the dot to capture. We use the L-shaped piece here. We don't do it that way. That's not going to work. We use the L-shaped piece here. We use the dot to capture. We use this guy to capture these. And then we no, we can't self-capture with the L-shaped piece. What if we dot capture, then we use 3 here. We then use okay. We dot capture here. We use the 3 piece there. We use the L-shaped piece here. And then we use this guy there. So that would be this solution. And I think this works. So L-shape is in the upper left corner. Chungus is at Chungus. 3 is down in the bottom right, and dot is the bottom right corner itself. Captured. Cool. How many are in this series? There's 5 total. Okay. Let's just keep going with this series. That's fine. Okay, so we have... This one seems fairly obvious to me. We use the 3 up here. We use the 2 there. We use this guy here, and then we use dot to capture that one. So I just need to figure out if that's drawable or not, and it doesn't actually look like that's the case. But it might be, and I'm just, yeah, because these These walls up here prevent me from being able to draw it out. I would need something like that, and then you need to go down. So that's not going to work. We use this. We use this guy here. We then put the... We use this guy here. We then use the 3 to capture it, so we have a group like that. Then this can be dot captured, but then we can't actually capture the dot that way. So, different approach. We use the... We use 3 to capture. We use this guy here. We use 2 to we use 2. What would that look like? Okay, so we have something like we would have roughly something like this. We then have a sitch where we have we've put 3. So what I'm thinking would be something roughly like this, but this is obviously not going to work due to the positioning of the walls. And that's fine. We'll just keep plugging away at this. But in my mind, I was thinking something that was pretty untenable. Okay. Let's see. So 3's there. Then we have... Can we have 2 disjoint shapes? So we use dot to capture that. We use that to capture dot. Which would be something like... which would be something like that. It's doable to make that shape. I just don't see... No, it's not doable to make that shape. It's two-stranded in the middle. Okay, so these have to all be touching. That's fine. That's not a surprise. Okay, 3 across. We do 3 across like that. We use 2 down. No. We use 3 across. We use dot to capture to get us the to get us together. We then how about this? We use 3 across like that. We use L-shaped piece like that. We use dot to capture, and we use 2 down to get the rest of the way. So that would be this shape, but I just need to draw it correctly. And I think that's doable, but let me double check. So we have 3 across on the top, L-shaped, 2 down, dot to capture in the top left. This solution does work if it's drawable. And it gets me to the exit. Let me double check that. And we will find out. But I think it works if I make it like this. So 3 across, L shape, dot, and 2 down. Perfect. I am on a roll. These are hard puzzles, and I'm doing, I think, a pretty damn satisfying job. I really couldn't be happier at the moment. I also need to check to make sure my phone is charging. I got a message on Discord from somebody saying, "You're a cool man." So thank you for that. I also need to make sure I pay my phone bill because they disconnected my phone service because I went to paying by the month, and I apparently never set up auto pay, so that's dumb because I thought I did. Anyway, that's enough complaints. So we use 4 let me see. Use 4 to capture. No, we want to use the 3 to capture here. So we use the 3 to capture, and then we use the 4 here, and then we use the 2 to capture up top. So that's going to look something like the following, and this one was really, really easy. So we use the L here, 4 there, 2 there. Couldn't be simpler. Wow, these are very, very spread out. So obviously 3 is going to be here, and then we use 4, and then we use... oh, wow. Okay. This is a prank. So you capture the 2 up here by itself, and then you capture the 4 and the 3 over here. That's mean. Alright, so this one's really straightforward. It looks to me like it's probably a group of 3 like that and a group of 3 like that. Except for the fact that there's a gap right here. So that would be something like... normally be something like that. But that's not the solution here. So let me think about this a different way. A 3 like that and then a 3 like that is also a good solution. But once again, we have this wall to contend with. However, I think I might be able to approach it from a different angle, like so. And that's the, basically like the kernel, symbol, I guess. It's the commentary and his voice. I don't know if if that means it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm gonna assume it means that, you're so hard right now that you can't focus on the game. I think that's a fair assumption to make. I think there's no shame in that. All right, so we have a pattern like that and like that, and it really couldn't be easier. Yeah, couldn't be more simple. Alrighty, and this one is probably going to be a shape like that, except it doesn't work. And this also doesn't work. So, what about using that to capture there, and that to capture there? So, I think this is the very first one, except that I can't use that wall there. Okay. We have a shape like that, and a shape like that, and I think that's the solution. So it's, again, our little overlaying, like, double arrow pattern. And they're inlaid to each other. Last but not least, I think this is the solution that I came up with at the very, very start, finally coming into fruition. And that's kind of a neat little sequence of puzzles.